All right. Okay, good morning, everyone. So, yeah, I mean, we could just do the standing self-massage, if that's more comfortable for everyone. Yeah, let's do that. For those of you on Zoom, we usually have some folks who sit in chairs, but the chairs are not available today, so we'll stand. And we'll do our self-massage standing. Oh, right after you got set up with a nice tower there. Well, such is life. Okay. All right. That's a little dark. Okay. So, yeah. Standing self-massage. Standing. Okay. So, just as we normally do, we can find a comfortable posture. If you'd like to close your eyes, you can, or if, while standing, if just having a soft gaze, maybe eyes slightly open, down at a 45-degree angle at the floor in front of you, if that's better for balance, that's fine, and we'll just bring our awareness to the three treasures in a standing posture. And of course, if you would rather be sitting, that is always an option. And even if you'd rather be laying down, that's also an option. So, but if we're standing, I always like to lift my toes off the ground, soften my knees, and it can sometimes be helpful, I find, to bend your knees more than you think is appropriate. Just to be deep in your knee bend so that then you can come out of it a little bit and find that sweet spot. So the knees aren't locked, not bent too deeply, but there's relaxation, there's ease in the knees, and again, toes lifted, just so that you can really find the hard parts at the bottom of your feet, and maybe taking a few moments here to just feel the weight distribution in your feet. Like when I lift my toes up, I often become aware of maybe being pitched forward. And so I can settle back into my heels a little bit. I find that I tend to kind of lean more into my left leg. And so just trying to find that center point that is never static. There's always a little kind of internal gyroscopic kind of movement going on. So just allowing that, but again, just tuning in. How does the weight feel distributed through the bottom of your feet? Or if you're sitting, how does the weight feel distributed on your seat, on your sits bones? So just tuning in to the alignment of your body within gravity. Whether you're standing or seated, you can also think about the back side of your head and just gently lifting up and back through the back of the head so that there's a slight upward reaching up, and also again slightly back. So the chin tucks, not lifts, but the chin slightly tucked, back of the neck long. And that reaching up into the sky is facilitated by this rooting down through the feet. Soft knees, weight in the heels and the outside edges of the feet. If you'd like to spread the floor apart, that can also help to balance the weight between both feet. Maybe using some effort as you do that, and then seeing if you can relax out of the effort a little bit so it's not so effortful. Again, continuing to reach up and back through the back of the head, which lengthens the back of the neck and also lifts the front of the collarbones very slightly. Allowing that gentle lift of the collarbones to allow the shoulders to spread and open out to the sides. And as you feel that kind of horizontal spreading, fill that space that you are discovering with your breath. All the way up the whole rib cage, and not only the front, but also the sides and the back. 360-degree breaths. And just allowing this posture and this space within your posture to be filled with the breath. And as we fill the space that we're creating in our bodies with breath, it can take a little while, so our breath can become slow and deep, and it can help us to become more aware of our bodies and what's going on inside of our bodies, what things feel like. And just let those sensations and those feelings, let that awareness be the focus of your mind. And again, even though we're still, we're not static. And so as needed, sometimes turning the palms forward and backwards, or a little adjustment to the shoulders, tilt of the head, bending the knees deeper, coming out of it, even a little rotation in the hips. If those movements feel appropriate or necessary, you can allow them. You can allow them to be intentional. And as we're standing here, you may notice how just standing with awareness, with a focus on alignment and the breath, allowing the refinement of alignment to happen, this can be a very active posture. This is an isometric exercise. So again, whenever it occurs to you, lifting the toes off the ground, softening the knees, reaching up and back through the back of the skull, breathing wide and full into the rib cage. You can also think about a downward movement through the hands. So the shoulders are moving down, away from our ears. It's like a subtle 45-degree angle out through our fingertips, down towards the ground. And, being mindful not to roll the shoulders forward and pull ourselves forward if the hands are moving down, but back of the head reaching up and back, collarbones lifted and spread so the shoulder blades are nestled on the back of the rib cage. And as the hands move down, the shoulders stay broad, and it's the muscles underneath the arms, the back of the body, becoming engaged, maintaining that gentle downward extension through the hands. Which again, that downward extension can help to facilitate this upward lifting through the back of the skull and the top of the head. Rooting down through the feet. Breathing deeply. So we have, like, this downward movement can create a little bit of tension around the sides of the ribs. The lifting up and back through the back of the skull, a little bit of tension on the sides and the back of the neck. So as you feel some of that tension or engagement, breathe into that. Create space, a stretch with your breath. So we're able to lengthen our muscles while our muscles are being used. We're not just stretching relaxed muscles, we're lengthening engaged muscles. This allows our muscles to be more functional, healthier. So maintaining this awareness of our alignment, our engagement, our breath, our focus. Let's bring our hands together, rubbing the palms together. Generating a little bit of heat in our hands. And let's take a nice deep breath in. Shake it out. Rubbing the palms together. And every time we're rubbing our palms together, it's an opportunity to feel the sensation of our hands as they rub together. An opportunity to feel the alignment of our body within gravity. To breathe into the shape of our bodies. To notice what our mind is noticing. And then let's bring our hands to our faces and we can massage our faces up and down or up and out. Taking your time, no need to hurry. Just finding a way of doing this that works for you. And then let's take a deep breath in, shake it out. And as we're standing, you can, shake your whole body if you'd like. And then rub the palms together and breathe. Align. Focus. Let's take our fingertips and massage our scalps. So you can go front to back over your scalp if you'd like. You can go back and forth. You can just explore the whole surface area of your scalp. Any areas that feel like they would like some extra attention, hang out over those areas. If you want to try a little more pressure or less pressure, do that. Try things out, explore, become more self-aware, and see how you respond to what's happening. And as you're ready, your hands can slide down the back of your neck and around. Big breath in. Shake it out. Rub the palms together, breathe deeply. So now let's take our middle and our ring fingers and we're going to start tapping on the inner corners of our eyebrows. And as you're tapping, just follow your eyebrow out to the edge, the outer corner of your eye socket, and then you can come back in to the inner corner of your eyebrow, the bridge of the nose. Just working back and forth here. And the next time you go out to the outer edge of the eye socket, hang out there, and then you can start to work above the bone, in between your eye and your ear, above the zygomatic arch. And you might go up a little bit higher, almost onto the head or above the ear, and back down just above that bone, massaging the temporalis muscle, one of the muscles that's very involved with jaw tension. And then you can work underneath that bone into the big jaw muscle, the masseter muscle, which there may be some tender spots in this muscle, so be gentle. If it's tender, go a little lighter. And just work down to that bottom corner of the jaw that's in front of the ear and back up underneath the bone. And then work your way in underneath your cheekbone, in between your nose and your upper lip. And even just tune in to the fact that you're tapping your gums just above your teeth, which may help to generate a little bit of saliva. Just feel that saliva filling your mouth. And then you can work your way back out underneath your cheekbone, back to your jaw muscle, and then down the jaw and out the jaw, in between your chin and your lower lip. And again, same thing, feel into your gums and where you're tapping your gums. And then working your way back out to that lower corner of the jaw. And then go just behind that corner, in between your jaw and your lower ear, which again may be very tender, so be gentle. And then from there you can start to tap onto your throat. And when I get to this area of my neck and throat, I find it nicer to just lightly stroke rather than tapping. Stroking over the voice box. Beneath the voice box is the thyroid gland, so you can bring some intention and awareness into your thyroid. And then you can work your way back to the bottom of the ear, and then you can start tapping again and tap underneath the ear and up the back side of the ear, over to the top of the ear. And from here, let's work our way up the sides of the head, up to the top of the head, Bai Hui, the crown chakra. And then we can come down the midline to the third eye in between the eyes. And now we're back to where we started. And so here, let's just stop. And we can massage our face out to the sides. Take a nice deep breath in. Shake it out. Rub the palms together. Breathe. Little self-applied facial. And for those of you who are familiar with the EFT, emotional freedom technique, the tapping, that's essentially, that method does use all of the entry and exit points on the face of the acupuncture meridians, which we just covered there. So we gave ourselves a little EFT treatment as well as a self-massage. So now let's take our palms and make forward circles over our ears. And if you'd like, you can bring the hands past the ears and then fold your ears over. And then go back past the ears and fold them over. Maybe a couple more circles. And then again, nice deep breath in and out. Rub the palms together, breathe. Now let's do a standing self-shoulder massage. Beginning with the left arm up to the right shoulder, we'll swing it up, let it fall away, other side. And just alternating side to side. And if you're standing, we might need something to do with this lower hand. So just like when we're ringing the temple bell, the lower hand can come to the lower back, while the upper hand comes up to the shoulder. Taking your time. If you're standing, it can be helpful to bend your knees and then straighten as the arms turn to help generate some momentum for the arms. And you get a nice little leg exercise. One more on each side. And done. We can let that unwind. Big breath in. Shake it out. And rub the palms together. Breathe breathing deeply, feel free to let out a sigh of relief whenever you need. And then let's open our chest, so we'll bring our right fingertips into a beak, find the bottom of your left collarbone and slide out into that hollow space near the shoulder. Left fingertips into a beak, find the bottom of the right rib cage and just follow it down until you drop into another little hollow space, a little notch. And then we'll tap these two spots. Tapping gently, but tapping hard enough that you can feel what is going on in these areas where you're tapping, and feel free to make small circles. The lower hand might be a little bit on the ribs, a little bit on the abdomen. Just explore. And if you find a spot in one or both of these spots that feels distinct, you can hang out on that spot and breathe into each of these spots that you're tapping. Breathe into the space in between these spots. And not only on the front of the rib cage, breathe all the way through to the back side of the rib cage. Feel the back side of your rib cage moving as you breathe. Breathe deeply. Breathe muscularly. Feel what's going on in your chest. Allow this stimulation to create some movement in your chest, through your diaphragm, through your solar plexus, through your heart and your heart center, and your heart and your lungs. Feel what accumulates in this area. The tension that we hold, the emotions that we store, the phlegm that can accumulate. Feel it. Allow it to move. Breathe into what you feel. Yeah, cough, sneeze, cry, yell, all of that. And as you're ready, you can transition to just open palms, and you can gently massage these 2 points, continuing to breathe all the way through. And then let's change sides. So left fingertips under the right collarbone, sliding out. Right fingertips to the bottom of the left rib cage, following it down into the hollow space, and again, just gently tapping. And feeling around. Breathing into what you feel. Breathing deeply. Breathing all the way through the rib cage, from the front to the back, including the sides. So many of us live with a band around our rib cage, making it hard to take a full breath. Sometimes making it feel like we have a lot of energy pent up around the base of our rib cage, or the center of our chest, or our upper rib cage, or in between our shoulder blades, the top of our shoulders, all of those places. Feel that. Breathe into that. Let it move. We're stimulating the liver meridian. We're stimulating the lung meridian. We're getting activity moving through the resonance of the heart organ and the upper kidney meridian. We're getting it all activated. The sides of the rib cage are where the spleen meridian ends. And whenever you're ready, you can transition to palms and then just gently massaging each of these points, continuing to breathe deeply, exhaling audibly as needed. And then a nice deep breath in. Shake it out. rub the palms together. Let's bring our hands onto our lower rib cage and massage from the lower rib cage onto the belly. We can bring one hand over our chest and another hand over our belly if you'd like. And feel free to switch which hand is on top whenever you want to. You can do both hands over the belly, both hands over the chest. There are no hard and fast rules about how to do this beyond paying attention to what you're doing and how it feels and how you feel about how it feels. Just acknowledging the organs inside our abdomen, inside of our body. And when you're ready, your hands can come around your waist, to your lower back, and your kidneys. And then we can draw our hands out, shake them out. Rub the palms together. Breathing. So, since most of us are standing, we can just trace the whole meridian complex as one, rather than doing the arms and then the legs. And so if you're seating, you can kind of follow along with us. It'll still work. So let's begin. Let's take our hands over our faces and heads, down the back of the neck, around the base of the neck, and then under the collarbones, reaching around to the back side of the body, tracing down the back of the legs. Feel free to bend your knees. The hands come over the feet and up the front of the legs to the belly, onto the chest, and let's open our mirror side arm, trace down the inside of the arm, and then up the outside. This hand can come onto the neck and the face, and then extend out. We'll bring the other hand to the chest and follow it out the inner arm, around, up the outside, onto the neck and the face, and it can open, and then one arm can come in, and then the other arm can come in. And again, we'll go over and around the neck, under the collarbones, down the backside of the body. Take your time, tracing the meridians up the front of the legs, onto the abdomen and the chest, and then out the inside of one arm, up the outside onto the neck and the face, and then out, bringing the other arm down the inside, up the outside. One arm comes in, and then the other. Let's do one more time. Over and around, under the collarbones, and down. Up the front, to the belly and the chest, and then out one arm, and up, neck, face, and out the other arm, and up, one arm, and then the other. Let's lift open and down. Just returning awareness to the three treasures. And then you can just relax, shake it out a little bit. All right, standing self-massage. We don't do that often. So, another experience, another way of just playing with this. So, I did want to say a little something, as we often do after our self-massage. So feel free to remain standing, or if you'd like to sit briefly, you can. I just want to use the board and share a couple things. So just to let everyone know that we are officially in the first phase of spring. So this is, these seasonal nodes that we talk about. The 24 seasonal nodes are solar nodes. We also have the Lunar New Year, which will begin on the 17th. So that's why we kind of have two different ways of thinking about time in Chinese cosmology. There's a lunar and a solar, a yin and a yang, just like everything. So, we've talked about this before, but we talk about it every year this time of year because that's what's going on. So the beginning of spring, it's early February, and so in the West we might say, like, how is this spring? It's still very much winter. And, that's true. We talked about last week how we were in this phase major cold, which is the coldest time of the year, and it's that compression of the cold that creates the rebound of spring that comes back. And so that's kind of where we are now. So it's like that seed that is rebounding against the cold, it's still deep underground, so it hasn't necessarily manifested yet. And in certain places in the world, in the country, the fields are still blanketed with snow. And so this is this idea of the beginning of spring, is that it's the beginning of the beginning. It's just potential. There hasn't been footprints left in the snow yet. We have a blank board without a stroke made yet to create a painting. So when we think about springtime, we think about the wood element. The wood element is related to the liver. The liver is related to the eyes. And this we see when the liver is inflamed. Hepatitis, the eyes will turn yellow. Or we have a lot of inflammation in our system, in our liver, we can have red, irritated eyes, things like this. What this also talks about, this relationship of the wood element and the springtime to the eyes, is that the springtime is a time for visioning, for planning, early spring, the beginning of the beginning, we're not out in the fields planting the seeds, but we're looking at this blank canvas saying, what do I want to plant this year? What are the seeds I want to put in the ground? What harvest would I like to reap? So we're just visioning. Our vision may not be what actually happens, but it's nice at least to have a vision, because it's out of the vision that comes a plan, and it's out of the plan that comes action. So those are the three steps related to the wood element, is vision, plan, and action. The wood element and the liver has a tendency towards stagnation, towards getting stuck. And often it's because there might be a breakdown with one of those three steps. And like how we talked about last week with stability, calmness, emptiness, illumination. Illumination being like the knowing what to do. But it's hard to know what to do if you're not calm and stable and empty even. And so sometimes we can say, I feel very stuck. I want something different to be going on. Well, what's your vision? What would you like it to be like? If you don't know, that's a place to begin. Create a vision. And then out of that vision, a plan can arise. And then with that plan, we can start to take action steps to manifest that vision. One thing to keep in mind, and one of the things that I find is kind of liberating about this early stage of spring, is that the vision doesn't necessarily have to be what is going to happen, but it can help us to get a sense of the flavor or the frequency, And so like if your vision is like, I want to live on the moon, that may not be possible, but you have a sense of the flavor that you're looking for. Like, what does it mean to live on the moon? Is that because it's still and it's quiet and it's away from all of the craziness of the planet Earth? Maybe. And so if that's the vision, how can you find that frequency here? So the vision, again, it's kind of wide open. It's infinite potential. It's a blank canvas. As we begin taking steps and making marks on the canvas, then we might start to become a little bit more structured, a little bit more limited in our options. But if we have this vision as our guiding light, we can help to move in a direction that will create something that we're looking for. So that's kind of this beginning of springtime. So that's that about that. And then also, I wanted to mention something. Ooh, I need a marker. So we're also moving into, in a couple of weeks, the Chinese New Year. We've talked about it a little bit already, the year of the horse. And so the horse is related to the heart. And the heart is related to June, which is the 6th month of the year, which is the summer solstice, which is kind of at the top of the Chinese clock. And so the horse exists here, which relates to the fire element. And so it's also the year of the fire horse. So we have a fire year with a fire animal related to the heart. And when we think about the heart and we think about fire, in Chinese physiology and cosmology and psychology, we tend to think about awareness, about consciousness, about being aware. And so, again, thinking about this springtime and about visions and thinking about the year of the fire horse, it's like a good idea to kind of get aware of your awareness and also to think about what it is that you want. Because I had one teacher, and I feel like the whole of the teaching could be distilled down into focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. Because if you're focusing on what you don't want, that's what you're going to get. It's kind of like, riding a bicycle. Look where you want to go. Don't look where you don't want to go, or you're looking at the ground, you will go there. And so, again, I feel like nowadays especially, so many of us, we tend to get sucked into focusing on the stuff that we don't want because that's what's on our screens all the time, is the stuff that we don't want to look at. And we're thinking about all of these terrible things that are going on and just so hyper-focused on all of these things that we don't want. And so now, a nice exercise might be to spend some time, set some time aside to focus on what it is that you want. What do you want to be going on? Not what you don't want. Don't focus on the problems. Focus on, even solutions isn't even the right word. It's just, what do you want? Focus on that. If you don't know what you want, figure that out. So that's kind of a key, I think, for this year, especially. Because again, it's a horse year. Horses will gallop. They are strong and they are powerful. They are massive forces of energy. And so again, if we can have self-awareness, that is a big starting point. And then if we're thinking about fire and a fire year and all of this stuff, what balances out fire? It's the opposite end of the clock. Water. And so water is related to the kidneys in Chinese physiology, deep in the body. Water, if fire is related to awareness and consciousness, water is related to volition, to the will. And so the will, again, it's kind of like, hey, I'm aware of stuff. Well, are you aware of what you want to be aware of? Are you bringing in this water to balance out some of the fire, to give this consciousness, to temper it, to create steam as opposed to a raging wildfire? So using reflection, we can take insight, awareness, consciousness, bring it down into potential. And then it's not only about being aware of things, but it's also about managing things. There's, I'm sure many of you are familiar with the whole emotional intelligence book that's out there, and the movement of emotional intelligence, EQ, the emotional quotient, as opposed to the IQ. And one of the big things about that is it begins with self-awareness, but then it becomes self-management. And that, I think, is a really important thing, because nowadays, so many of us are very self-aware. We might even be too self-aware, almost self-absorbed, right? I don't know how many of us are really good at self-management. And I think that's another piece of this fire horse year. It's not only, well, what's going on with me? How do I feel about things? What do I want? It's also, well, what are you doing? How are you managing yourself? How are you managing your situation? Are you just a victim of circumstance? Or are you actually able to do something about anything? So how are we managing ourselves? And that's a big theme of this coming year as well. Not only awareness, but again, bringing in this piece of the will, of management of what's going on. And so that is, I think, really something that we can all stand to work on quite a bit. Managing our reactivity, managing the choices that we're making, because a lot of the things that help to make us healthy, it's not that we're just born with it or we're not, it's that we develop it, we cultivate it, and it's all very cultivatable. You know, we just have to take the time to actually do it, which is, I think, why we're all here, and which I think is a beautiful thing. So thank you for doing that. So that's all that I wanted to say about that with the start of spring and the coming of the Fire Horse year, is again, just, yes, let's be self-aware about what's going on, and let's be aware of what we want, not what we don't want, and let's manage ourselves. If we are focused on what we don't want, or if we're in a situation that we don't want to be in, what can we do about that? What are the steps that we can do? What is the vision that we can create? How can we manage ourselves in the moment? Because, you know, it's like the great quote from the Dalai Lama, like, be kind whenever possible, and it's always possible. So we can substitute out kindness for a lot of different words. You know, it's always possible. We can manage ourselves. It's something we can learn how to do. And Qigong helps us do that, so let's do that. Thank you for listening. Okay, so now here we are again, standing, as we were not that long ago. And so we can just return to our standing posture. Feeling our feet on the ground, maybe lifting the toes up to find our 3 points of contact, to find balance between our 2 feet, whether that's side to side, whether that's front to back. Just noticing how things are. Lifting up and back through the back and the top of the skull, allowing the chin to slightly tuck and the back of the neck to lengthen. And that lengthening through the back of the neck helps to activate the sternocleidomastoid muscles, which helps to lift the collarbones so that they can spread. We can breathe into our chests, the sides of the chests, the back of the rib cage. And then let's just bounce a little bit. So we can bounce a little, we can shake a little. Yeah, if you want to turn side to side, you can. You can ring the temple bell. You can roll your shoulders up and back. Just shaking it out, waking ourselves back up again. And as we're doing this little bit of shaking, let's do a couple sighs of relief. So a big breath in with an audible exhale. We can go in. Again. Let that settle, and then we'll just go right into some gathering breaths. So gather up and exhale. A couple more. Inhale. Exhale. Down through the body. Big breath in and out. And as you gather, you can bend your knees, so little squat. If you want to audibly exhale, you can. Two more. And just relax for a few moments. So there's Qigong technique that I don't know if I've ever done it in this class. It's been a really long time if we have. It's very simple. It's called the warrior's breath. And what we do is we take a breath in and then we kind of make a sound as we send it out. And we can go from the lower dantian, the middle dantian, the upper dantian, and then we can repeat. And so, you can make the sound, you can say ho, you can go ha, he, any of those. So we might do all of them. But it's something I've been playing with recently because I noticed when I got to my middle dantian, I couldn't make a strong sound. It was like my lungs were a little full with something. And so, I feel like this winter, it's influenza A has been going around. People have been having a lot of chest stuff. And also just the emotions and just kind of feeling the onslaught that's going on. And kind of doing that warrior's breath can really kind of put us back in touch with how much power we actually have inside of ourselves. And so I'd like to do that for a little bit, and we can just kind of just go with it for a little while and see how it goes. And, if you notice that you're kind of timid with the sound, just notice that and then see if you can kind of maybe make some sound and see how that goes. So we'll start and we'll make the sound ha, because that's like a nice, easy sound to make. We're going to start with the lower and then work our way up. Each breath, one sound, one lower, one dantian. So, we'll inhale. Ha! Middle. Ha! 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 Say ho! 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 Say hoo! 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 Whisper. One more. How does that feel? Yeah. And also, the sound of the wood element is a shouting kind of sound. It's like the sound, we know the liver is associated with anger, and even before anger, there's assertiveness. So it's kind of like saying hey, back off. So it's like, ha, like getting that liver energy going. So if you are feeling a little pent up, a little irritated, agitated, stuck, or however, you can scream into a pillow, that's fine. You can also do this warrior's breath, if you can go into a room where you're not going to scare anyone, or, scare some people, maybe it'll be good for them. Just, ha! And let it go. Hua! And again, it really puts us in touch with the power that we have inside of ourselves. It's like, as you're doing it, you can feel the rootedness into the ground, that extension outward, this ability we have to manage what's going on inside of us, to let it move, to get it out, and not just have it oppress us. We have an ability to do something, so we can do that. It's potent. I remember I was at a class one time, and this little unassuming woman, we were kind of going around taking turns leading a little Qigong exercise, and she was, just this woman. She got up and it was like, ha! It was like, whoa! So powerful. Really, very impressive. So I think Year of the Fire Horse is a good time to remember how powerful you are, and that energy that we have inside of us that we can channel, that we can direct. So now let's do some nice, simple movement. Let's bring our palms back to back and inhale up and exhale out. 2 more. One more. And then let's gather out and up. Inhale. Exhale down. 2 more. Exhaling, hands come down, knees can bend. 1 more. Let the hands come out to the sides. Exhale. Inhale, hands in front of the lower dantian. Wuji posture. So we did something that started like this last week, but it's a different thing that we're doing now. So again, check in. Lift your toes off the ground. Find the outer edges of your feet. Spread the floor apart to find those outer edges. Settle into your heels more than the balls of your feet. Lift up and back through the back of your skull. Lengthen the back of your neck. Breathe in between your shoulder blades. Let the elbows spread wide. Breathe. As you breathe, breathe into the sides of the rib cage. So as you take a big breath in, it's like the elbows spreading wide, sides of the rib cage getting big and wide, and then exhale. Next inhalation, hands float up to the heart. Exhale here. As you inhale, roll your arms open. Palms out, and then exhale, palms up. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, the hands down the back of the neck. And then just breathe natural as we trace the meridians. So under the collarbones, down the backside of the body. Take your time here. Get to behind your knees and pause. So just hold with the hands on the backside of the knee so you can take a moment. If you're pitching forward into the balls of your feet, let your weight shift into your heels so you can lift your toes. Think about lifting up and back through the back of your skull. So the spine is nice and long. The back of the neck is nice and long. Your knees can be unlocked. Take a breath here. Breathe in. As you exhale, just relax down. Hands come to the front. Inhale up. Palms back to back. Keep going up. And then exhale out. Return to Wuji posture on your inhale. Exhale. And relax here. Breathe a few breaths. See if you can soften. If you're really tight in your shoulders, pitched forward, this is hard. If you can bring the back of your head up and back, the shoulders back and down, knees soft, it becomes so much easier. So see if you can find an easy way of doing this. How many places can you afford to relax right now? How many places might you be engaging or tensing or efforting unnecessarily? These are great questions to ask about our lives just in general. On your next inhale, hands float up to the heart. Exhale, roll them out. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, palms up. Inhale, gather. Exhaling down. And just breathing natural as we trace the meridians under the collarbones, down the back to the back side of the knee. And then pause. As you inhale, lift through the back of the skull, lengthening the back of the neck, shifting the hips back behind you. Weight in the heels. Exhale. Go a little deeper. Hands come onto the front of the legs. Inhale, rolling yourself up. Palms back to back. Keep going. Exhale. Inhale at the lower dantian. And relax. Inhale up to the heart. Exhale, relax. Inhale, roll the arms open. Exhale, palms away. I'll get it right this time. Inhale, press. Exhale, palms up. Inhale up. Exhale down. Breathe natural as you trace under the collarbones and down. Pause when your hands reach behind your knees. As you inhale, hips shift back. Back of the skull lifts, stretching the back of the neck. Exhale, deeper. Over the top of the feet, inhale up. As you roll up, palms back to back. Keep inhaling. And then exhale. Inhale to the lower dantian. We'll do this one more time. Excuse me. So again, this is home base. This is where we rest. This is where we check in. Where are we holding unnecessarily? Can the shoulder blades come back and down? Can the collarbones lift slightly? Can the back and the top of the skull reach up and back so the chin tucks? Can the elbows be wide but not forward, wide out to the sides, creating space in between the shoulder blades? Engaging the lats of the body. Can the knees move away from each other? Can we lift our toes? If we needed to stand here for a while longer, could we? Or is there a part of us that says, I need some water right now. I need to go to the bathroom right now. I need to do anything other than this right now. Can we just be with that without doing anything? On the next inhale, hands float up to the heart. Exhale, relaxing here. On the next inhale, roll the arms out. Exhale, press away. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, palms up. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, down the back of the neck, around, under the collarbones. Breathe natural. As you reach your hips back behind you, hands move down behind the knees and pause. Lift your toes, root into your heels. Lift through the back of the skull. Lengthen the back of the neck. The chin slightly tucks. Take a big breath in. And then exhale deeper. Hands over the top of the feet and legs. Inhale yourself up. Long inhalation as the palms come back to back and up. And then exhale out. And let's just keep moving with that. So inhale the hands up the front of the body. Turn to look up, palms up. And then exhale. So just nice and easy to begin. Inhale up. Palms up, look up. Exhale. Again, inhale. As the palms go up and you look up, hold at the top of the inhalation. And then exhale. As the arms come around, make small, gentle fists with your hands. Press your fists together. And then inhale up. Exhale. Fist with the hands. Press the hands gently together. Let your chin come towards your chest. And then inhale. So we're holding at the top of the inhale. Holding at the bottom of the exhale. We're coming around, fist with the hands, chin towards the chest, squeeze. And then inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Stretch. Exhale. Fist with the hands, fist with the feet, chin towards the chest. Inhale. Hold at the top of the inhalation. Exhale. Hold at the bottom of the exhalation. Squeeze it out. And then again, in. Out. Let's do a couple more. Take your time. Just wring yourself out like a sponge so that then you can fill yourself up. Last one. Inhale, roll yourself up. The hands can float up and then down. And just stand and breathe for a few moments. So just inhaling and stretching, exhaling and wringing everything out. That can be so good for our liver, for our blood, for our lymph, for our muscles, for our bodies, for our minds. Let's open our hearts in 4 directions. So inhale the hands up to the heart. As you exhale, send the hands out in front. Inhale, open wide. Exhale, press. Inhale in. Palms up, exhale. Inhale. Exhale, down. Again, inhale up. Exhale out in front. As you reach forward, let your weight just settle back. So we're not reaching forward with our whole bodies. And then inhale. Exhale. In. Turn the palms up. As you press up, sink. In. As you press down, reach up through the top of your head. Again, inhale. Exhale. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. One more. And relax. Just taking a moment. Just kind of doing a Qigong Smorgasbord this morning. As long as we're not in Wuji posture, you can go to the bathroom. So now let's do, it's kind of like the gathering breath, but it's also the storing qi, the marrow washing. I'll do it from the sides. And we're going to kind of break this down a little bit so we really have healthy body mechanics as we're doing a squat motion. So let's just gather up. And then the hands can float down the front of the body. So we can hinge our hips back. So you should be able to lift your toes. Not rounded forward, lifting up and back through the back of the head. So hips back, spine nice and long. And then send your hips back until they can't go back anymore, so you have to go down. Your toes should still be able to lift, your knees moving away from each other. And you don't have to go, your hips don't have to go lower than your knees. This is fine. As we gather, the hands reach out. And as the hands reach forward, the hips reach back away from the hands. So it's actually, to come out of the squat, the hips come first, pressing through the heels, and the hips are coming up, and then the body follows. And we come up, and then down. Whew. So hinge the hips back. The hips keep reaching back until the knees have to bend. Spreading the knees apart, the arms reach out and the hips reach away from the hands, pressing through the heels, the hips come up, back of the legs help to lift us up and down. How's that working? Good? Hips back, keep reaching back, knees bend. Arms reach out, hips reach away from the hips, press through the heels to come up and down. We can link it with the breath. So inhale and hinge. Exhale, reaching back. Inhale, hips and hands reach away, coming back up. Exhale. Inhale. You don't have to go down low. Exhale. It can be this much. Inhale, hips and hands reach away. Strengthening and lengthening the lower back, the hamstrings, the glutes. In, out. In, out. So let's just move like this. Take your time. And again, you don't have to go low. If not going low makes it so that you can keep doing this, that's better. Being able to squat, having strong squatting muscles is a marker for longevity. It's a metric of health. So we need to be able to do this. We need to be able to stand up off of the toilet. We need to be able to get up out of chairs. So again, hips back. Keep reaching back with the hips until the knees have to bend. The arms and the hips reach away from each other. Hips lift first before the back does. Because why? We're lifting with our legs, not our backs. Just as low as is comfortable. Over time, you may find that you go a little lower. And if you don't go very low, that's fine. I mean, there are so many articles about why we should be doing squats. And I find that this way of doing squats is a really nice way of doing them. It becomes a nice rhythmic meditation. And so it doesn't feel so much like exercise, it feels like cultivation, like nourishment. And again, really maintaining that awareness. When you get to the bottom of your squat, as the hands reach out, the hips come back and up first. So really take the time to feel that. So let's get to our bottom and stay. Hands are reaching out. Let the weight shift in your heels. Can you lift your toes? From here, through your heels, can you push your hips up? And then keep pushing up as you come all the way up. You all look great. I love that there's mirrors in this room so I can see you as we're doing this. How many many have we done? I don't know. I recently read that someone asked Muhammad Ali how many sit-ups he used to do. And he said he didn't start counting the sit-ups until they started to feel really effortful. That's when he began counting. And so, just do squats for a long time. And we're not really doing squats, we're doing a moving meditation. We're cultivating longevity. We're cultivating a capacity to move functionally in a healthy way that will benefit us for the rest of our lives. And those lives may be of a higher quality because we do this. Let's do 3 more. Let's do 1 more. And relax. And just take a few moments to tune in. Like return to the 3 treasures. Return to the hard parts of the bottom of your feet. Soft knees. Lifting up and back through the back of the skull. Lifting and spreading the collarbones. Breathing into the back and the sides of the ribcage. Now let's continue on with some gentle squat movements. Let's gather heaven and earth. So inhale the arms out to the side. And then exhale, just as we've been doing, bending the knees, press through your heels, hips lead as we come up. And exhale. In and out. In and out. Moving with your breath, taking your time. And here, with the focus of your mind, with your imagination, feel free to use this movement to facilitate. Like, what is the vision that you'd like to have? What would you like to gather? What would you like to see in the world around you? If we're gathering from the earth, what is that? If we're gathering from the sky, what would you like that to be? And it can be the same thing, it can be something different. And you don't even have to think of anything specifically if you're not. But you can, while doing this movement. You can link a mental image with a physical activity. Inhaling, exhaling. Inhaling, exhaling. One more full circle. Gathering up. Exhale. exhaling down. Let the hands just rest by the sides. Find a comfortable stance. Now I'd like to do a little bit of breath work. So the shi, shi, hu breathing. We haven't done it in a while. Very useful. Good for, spring cleaning, spring renewal. So most of you are familiar with this. Shi, shi, hu. So 2 inhalations, 1 long exhalation. It's like this. So we'll start like that, at a pace like that. Over time, we'll hold at the top of the inhale and then exhale. Over time, we'll hold at the top of the inhale and the exhale. We'll also go a little bit faster after a little while, but we'll spend some time doing it because, again, breath work is powerful, so useful. So let's begin, and you can inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose if you'd like. If you'd like to exhale through the mouth, that's fine. I find if I exhale through the mouth, after a while the inhale starts to burn my nostrils. But if I'm exhaling through the nose as well as inhaling, that doesn't happen. So feel free to find what works for you. So nice and easy, not too fast, like this. Little sips on the inhale, not too big. More exhale than inhale. Shi, shi, hu. Shi, shi, hu. Shi, shi, hu. Shi, shi, hu. Hold at the top of the inhale. Like that. Challenge yourself. Hold at the bottom as well. Hold. One more like this. Hold at the bottom of the exhale. Challenge yourself. return to normal breathing, shi shi hu. A little faster. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Big breath. Two more. Breathe naturally, deeply. Feel the effects of this practice. Feeling the area in between your eyebrows, feeling the base of your skull, feeling your cheeks, your palms. Feeling the movement that's going on inside of your body. The pumping of blood and qi. Blood that is full of oxygen. Oxygen getting into all the areas of your body. Qi and blood circulating freely, bringing nutrients to every cell, to all of the tissues in your body, exchanging qi with the universe. With each breath, feeling the universe fill every cell. With each exhalation, allowing that fullness to move out, to become the universe. Feel this activity that you are participating in every moment of your life. It's always happening. So why not bring more conscious awareness to it? Why not bring more management to it? What do you want to be sending out into the universe? What do you want to be breathing into every cell of your body? Because it's happening. And you do have some power over how it happens. So claim that. That's your birthright. That's your responsibility. That's your offering. That's your service. And with all of this qi, all of this potential circulating through our bodies, we have the opportunity to take this medicine that we've made, direct it anywhere in the body that you might need it. You can use your hands, you can use your intention. Where I need medicine is different than where you need medicine, so go to where you need it. You can squeeze, you can touch, you can tap, you can rub. Direct medicine to the areas of your body that need medicine, that need healing. The medicine is health and healing. And then after we've specifically applied some medicine, let's generally apply some medicine. So again, we've done this a couple times already. Let's trace our meridians around the base of the neck and under the collarbones, down the back of the body, up the front. A little different this time. Bring both hands out, both arms. Turn the palms to face you. Over the head and back. Under the collarbones and down. Up the front of the body, over the belly and the chest, cross the arms, each hand out, each arm, palms face you. One more time. Over and around, directing medicine through the whole body, circulating chi and blood up the front. Over the chest, crossing the arms out, palms face. Inhale, up. Exhale, out and down. Breathe and exchange chi. So the year of the fire horse is coming up. Fire implies light. Light implies color. Color implies a kind of vibrational frequency. What color of light would you like to manifest? Fire implies awareness. It implies action, self-management, creation of the world. Fire implies transformation. Transformation often implies sacrifice. What would you like to offer to the fire? What can you give of yourself to help create the world you would like to have? We don't need to have answers to these questions, but we should ask these questions over and over again throughout this year. And it can be nice to ask these questions after you've done a practice like this, to get the chi and blood moving, clearing things out, finding stability, calmness, emptiness, then illumination, then light, fire, transformation, action. Let's fold our hands over our lower dantians. And then we can bring our hands together and rub them together. Massage our faces up and down. Back and forth over the top of the skull. Down the back of the neck and around. Palms together, pressing into the chest, and then spreading over the lower ribs, onto the abdomen, around the waist to the lower back. Drawing the hands out. Shake them out. Pat up one arm. And down. Up the other arm. And down. Around and down. Up the front. One more time. Around and down. And up. Okay, great. So yeah, Qigong Smorgasbord. Thank you so much for practicing, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Okay, thank you. And thanks all for being here. We'll see you next time.